One Last Word by Nikki Grimes. The Harlem Renaissance. The Harlem Renaissance was one of the most remarkable periods of artistic growth and exploration in American history. This era followed the Great Migration, when millions of African Americans left the South in search of a better life. Many of them settled in Harlem, where they finally felt free to express themselves and speak their mind without fear. And one way they did so was through the arts. These were the heady days of such luminaires as James Weldon Johnson, Josephine Baker, and artist Aaron Douglas. Wow. Between 1918 and the mid to late 1930s, an explosion of African American music, art, and literature spread from one big city to another. But it was in Harlem that the greatest number and range of poets and writers gathered, including Arna Bontemps, Conti Cullen, Zora Neale Harson, Georgia Douglas Johnson, Jean Tomer, and Langston Hughes. A number of extraordinary women are usually left off the roster. Gwendolen Bennett, Clara Ann Thompson, and Ann Spencer among them. These and others emerging African Americans wrote from a home for their artistic self expression in Black owned magazines and literary journals like Fire, Opportunity, A Journal of Negro Life, and The Crisis, published by W.E.B. Du Bois, with novelist and poet Jesse Redmond Fawcett as its literary editor. In fact, Black owned newspapers and journals sprung up throughout the northern states. It was there, removed from the daily constrictions of Jim Crow laws and the constant threat of violence from the Ku Klux Klan, that African Americans spread their cultured wings and began to fly. Personal essays, fiction, and poetry reflected racial pride, began to take center stage. While the first glimpse of Black life, as seen from the Black perspectives, came to the fore, together with the music, dance, and visual arts created by African Americans during this era. The, back, the groundbreaking literature that sprung from the Harlem Renaissance proved to Americans that world and there was more to the minds, hearts, and souls of Black folk than previously expressed. Through the decades, this literature has reminded readers of all races how vital it is that we define ourselves, set our own paths, celebrate our own capability, and determine our own destiny, no matter how obstacles are placed in our way. I had been honored to attend Coretta Scott King's Book Award breakfast on many occasions. And when I rise to join in the refrain of Lift Every Voice and Sing by James Weldon Johnson, I feel the pull of the tether that connects me to the Harlem Renaissance. The art and literature of that era still resonates today. Why look to writers of the Harlem Renaissance for wisdom and strength in difficult times? Because these writers, so recently removed from slavery and from the Jim Crow laws, survived much. They still have much to teach us regarding toughness, survival, and a positive attitude. These literary lights, writing at a time when the lynching of Black men filled the news, we're more than familiar with racial profiling, racial violence, and every variety of injustice imaginable. Yet they ascended to great heights in spite of it all. Their works exude power and wisdom aplenty. They knew the importance of telling their own stories, of presenting their own images to the world. Above all, they understood how to make the most of their freedom, despite living in a nation that had not them and has not yet fully realized its promise of freedom and justice for all.